What's up, everybody? So in today's video, I'm going to be going through this property right here and telling you exactly how much it's going to cost to renovate. This was a property my partner just bought as a flip, so I actually found the deal for him. We're going to go through the entire house in this 10-15 minute video, so you'll know exactly how much it's going to cost as far as the repairs go. And as always, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. And as long as you're not a troll like this guy or this guy or this guy or that guy, I will respond to every question. Now, before we jump into all these renovations, the idea when you're doing a repair estimate is just to be in the ballpark. You just don't want to be significantly off. You're never going to be 100% correct on your repair estimates. So it's smart to kind of have like a checklist, and you can download a checklist on my website below of all the main parts of the house. And then we're going to add, about 10 to 15% in overages and things like that. All right. So to start with, your renovation cost, it's going to depend a lot on location, the age of the house. If it's like a 1900 house versus like a 1990 house, obviously the renovation cost is going to be a little bit different. So it's going to depend on the age of the house, location, size of the house. This is a townhouse in Delray, Alexandria, Virginia. And if you're from the DMV area, drop it in the comment section below. But the price point of this house, we actually got it at a pretty good deal, around $500K. It's going to be relisted around, it's going to sell for around $700K renovated. That's going to be a pretty upscale type of property. So the renovation costs are going to be a little bit more than obviously if it's like a $200K type of house. So first we have the exterior, because when you're renovating a house and you want to sell it for the most money, you need to make that house look like $1 million before someone even walks in the front door. So the very first thing you see is this massive tree right here. And we're probably not going to completely cut it down because, the comment section might go crazy with people cutting down a tree, but we definitely have to trim it back. And a tree like this, if you were going to remove this completely, that could easily be like a $3,000 job. However, just to kind of cut back these branches, we're probably looking more around like $500, maybe $1,000 to really significantly cut back some of these branches. We also have the retaining wall. So retaining walls can be extremely expensive. I actually have a property where my entire retaining wall just collapsed, but it was like a massive retaining wall. And not only that, but the insurance didn't even cover it. So that job is going to cost about $30,000. This retaining wall, actually, it's really not that bad. It's slanting a little bit. We might not even need to completely replace it, but if you were to replace a retaining wall like this, I'd say it'd be about $5,000. For just like some minor repairs and pushing the wall back a little bit, you're probably talking maybe $500, maybe a few thousand, if that. You can see that the next door neighbor actually got their retaining wall done at some point, so maybe we need to talk to them and find out who did it. Next up, we have some repointing of the brickwork. This may or may not be done. If we really want to go all out, we could do this, but it looks like some of the brick, like the mortar, it's a little bit older, so we could do some repointing, some minor tuck pointing as it's called, and that's not going to be too expensive. If you had to do an entire property and it's like a historic property, then it could get super expensive. Something like this, we're probably talking $500, maybe a few thousand if the entire property needed it, but it really kind of looked like just the front needed some tuck pointing done. And that's basically where they just redo the mortar. They might have to replace a brick or two, but it makes the property look, a lot nicer from the outside. So next up, we have painting the exterior, painting the brick. And I actually recommended to my partner that we just kind of keep it this brick. Basically, the top selling ones in the neighborhood, and when you're doing a renovation, that's what you want to look for. The top selling ones have pretty much all kept the brick. There was one or two that kind of painted it white, but most people kept it brick and then did like some navy blue shutters. So I think that's what he's going to do. But if you had to paint this the entire exterior, some people have like painted it white or like a lighter color, you're probably looking at about $3,000. And some people don't like painting the brick because then it can't breathe as well. But because this is a smaller house, it would really only be about $3K or so. Next up, we have the windows. And I don't think any of these windows are actually broken, but if you're going to do a full renovation, you might as well do the windows as well. And windows can easily be like $500 per window, including the cost of, materials and installation. I have a couple properties in DC, and I was actually just quoted, it was like $1,000 per window. But obviously, the more windows you purchase at one time, the better kinds of discounts and that type of thing that you can get. You can definitely spend a fortune on windows, but it's really nice to have like the brand new windows that actually open and close easily without too much effort. We also have the gutters at the top of the house. And again, this is a really kind of a smaller house. So, if we were to replace these gutters, you're probably talking maybe $1,000 to replace the gutters all around. And again, when you're looking for top resale value, you want the exterior of the house to basically look immaculate. We could also do some minor landscaping here in the front, not including the tree, but I'm just talking about these bushes, maybe some new mulch and that type of thing. That's probably $250, maybe $500 to get someone to do that. And then most importantly, I'm a big door guy. So you almost want to like splurge on the door. Sometimes I've seen these like $1 million houses and then they have like the cheapest door. So a really good door, you could spend $1,000. I know one guy, he has a $20,000 door. door. And that thing looks like it's from the medieval ages. It's super heavy. A lot of times you can tell the quality of a door by how heavy it is. You know, the really cheap doors, they're kind of flimsy. They're very light. So I would say, you know, for a nice door, you know, spend $1,000. Get a nice door handle that could easily be another like $200. So maybe all in, you know, you're $2,000 for a brand new door. And that will help give the house a much more expensive feel, because people don't want to see, you know, an investor skimping on details like that, or any details for that matter. And lastly, for the exterior, we also have the roof. So this roof, I don't think there's any active leaks in it, and you could probably just let it go for another 5 or 10 years, but we're just going to replace it. And a roof like this it's a very straightforward type of roof. I mean, you got to trim back these trees, but it's a small house. There's not a lot of ridges on the roof. So we're probably talking like $7,000 for a brand new roof here. You could probably get someone even down to like $5,000, but definitely under $10K. However, if it's like a 5,000 square foot house and there's lots of different parts to the roof, different levels and things like that, you can easily spend like 20, 30, even $40K for like a nice asphalt shingle type of roof. All right, so we finally made it inside. First off, we have the hardwood floors. So I always try to keep the hardwood floors. People like them, and these ones are in good condition. So we're just going to refinish these. You know, it's basically an 800 square foot house. So the cost to refinish these is going to be around $3,000. You know, honestly, maybe even less than that. We are also going to do some recessed lighting in here. And with recessed lighting, for a licensed electrician to do it, you know, you're probably talking about $300 per recessed light. And then you also want to add in a few, like, you know, maybe an extra couple hours for that electrician to basically change all the outlets, new outlets basically, because no one wants to go into a fully renovated house and see some like yellowish looking outlet from like the 1950s. And before they actually start all this renovation, they're going to have to demo the drywall, the kitchen, the bathrooms, because we're going to do all brand new everything. So to demo a property like this, that's basically where they just knock everything down so that they can replace it with new stuff. That's going to be around $3,000 to knock everything down and then remove all the junk from here. So as far as the kitchen, here we have the kitchen. You know, this is a smaller kitchen, but it's going to be a higher end, like nice kitchen. So, you know, it's probably going to cost about $15,000. A nice appliance package is going to be around $5,000. Some nicer higher end cabinets, that's going to be another $5,000. You got the sink, the backsplash, you know, get some quartz countertops, plus the labor and everything. You know, you're talking basically about $15,000 for a nice, smaller, brand new, higher end type of kitchen. We're also going to have to obviously paint the place once it's done. So painting, you know, 800 square feet, well, actually plus the basement. So in total, it's about 1,200 square feet. Probably going to be around $5,000 for like a nice, you know, painting company. Yes, I'm sure your cousin could do it for cheaper, but we're definitely going for like more of a higher end professional type of look here. Now, before we head upstairs, if you're a real estate agent or real estate investor and you're looking to add some of these investment properties just like this one to your deal flow, whether it's doing a couple of these per month or maybe just a couple per year, definitely reach out to me in one of the links below or on social media, and I'd love to have a quick chat. I do one-on-one real estate investing mentoring with different people nationwide. So I'd love to have a quick chat and see if it's a good fit to work together. All right, so here we have the bathroom, and for like a nice master bathroom renovation, this is not too big of a bathroom, obviously. You know, I'll put about $7,500. That's probably, again, on the higher side of things, but we're actually going to keep this tub. This is one of those like super heavy, I think it's one of those cast iron type of tubs. And actually people like those. So we're just going to like refinish the tub, reglaze it, which is only about $500. And then just, you know, do new tile, new vanities, lights, mirrors, everything in the bathroom and make it look, you know, immaculate. In the bedrooms, we're also going to try to do like nice new ceiling fans in each bedroom. And a nice ceiling fan is going to be like $150 to like $250 plus cost of installation. We'll just call it $500 per installed nice ceiling fan. And then we're also going to, replace all the doors as well as the door handles. And you'd be surprised if you have an older house, just by painting and like replacing door handles and like little light fixtures and things like that, you can make a big difference. So door handles are super cheap, but it can give it a very modern look. And then if the door is in bad condition, you can replace that. So all in, you're probably talking like $500 per replaced door, as well as the door handles are cheap. You can get them for like $20 at Home Depot. We are going to head into the basement now. And one thing to note, sometimes you come across houses that you need to completely replace all the plumbing or all the electrical. And in a townhouse like this, you know, 1,200 square foot, to do that would probably be each under $10,000. Like to replace all of the electrical would probably be like 7, 8, maybe 10,000. To completely replace the plumbing would be like about $10,000. With this house, it's pretty unusual to do that with a house unless it's just completely terrible. So this house, we don't need to, but there's some houses kind of close to this neighborhood that were built, I think 80s and 90s, that have polybutylene piping, which basically can break at any time. It's like this gray piping. So in that scenario, we would have to replace it. I've had to do that before. It cost me, on a condo, it cost me like $5,000 or $6,000. On a townhouse, obviously could get into like the $10,000 range, but that would be the cost to replace both of those. The previous owner, I believe, updated the electrical a few years back, so we should be good on both of those ends. Now you can see here the windows. So we were considering, and I don't think we're going to do it, but doing an egress window to create more of like a legal bedroom in the basement. Because in Virginia, to have a legal bedroom, well, anywhere, you need an egress window. You also need the ceiling height to be at least 7 feet. And I believe these ceiling heights are right at 7 feet, but then once you add some flooring and do this and that, it could be cutting it kind of close. So I think we're going to keep it not an egress window, but if you had to, it would be about $7,000. And I think if someone bought this house as like an Airbnb investment, because actually in Alexandria, you're actually allowed to do Airbnb. So if someone wanted to do that, I think it could be a very good option, because then you could say, hey, we have a third bedroom in the basement, get more people in there with this backyard, being close to Old Town, everything like that. Could be a nice little moneymaker. And just a quick side note, the way you come up with these numbers, the way I come up with these numbers, I have experience, so I've just seen different things. But if you're new to real estate investing, you can just literally just look on Angie.com is great. It'll show, you can like search by zip codes and things like that and see what people have been paying for this type of work, depending on what type of work it is. And you can also just Google like how much does it cost to do this, to do that, and then try to come up with like a median number. You don't want to go with the highest, don't want to go with the lowest, but try to just come up with like a rough estimate, a rough average. Find 3 different websites like Angie.com, Home Advisor, different things like that, and get a ballpark number. And then you can also just ask investors in your local area, ask different real estate agents. And after a few of these, you'll get a feel for exactly like roughly how much everything is going to cost. Now to finish this basement, because it's smaller, it's not going to be too expensive. We're talking like paint, new floors, new drywall. Some people, what they do with this wood paneling, they just paint it white, and it can actually look good that way. I think what we're going to do is actually just strip it all down and then just put new drywall in there. So to finish this basement, I think we're probably only talking around $5,000. Now we are also going to add a full bathroom down here, because right now the house is just 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, which is a little bit tough of a sell. So to install a full bathroom, and there's no hookup right now for the plumbing, so we're going to have to basically get a new drain line and everything like that. So we're probably talking like somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 to install a new full bathroom when there's no existing hookup or anything like that. But it's going to help the resale value so much, especially if you get an egress window down there. You can almost have like a full master suite down there. Now some basements actually need to be waterproofed. This one, as far as I know, there's no water issues, but some basements you're going to have to, you can see standing water, or it might have a history of water coming in. So a basement like this would probably cost about $10,000 to waterproof, because again, it's a pretty small basement. And what a waterproofing company would do is they would basically dig like a drain line like all around the perimeter of the basement, probably be like 3, 4, maybe 6 inches, and then they put a sump pump in the corner, and then any water that came from the outside of the house would go into this drain, get kicked to the sump pump, and get spit out. And usually waterproofing companies have a lifetime warranty, so sometimes it's not as expensive as people would think. Now if it's a massive house and it has big water issues, then you're looking at more like 15, 20, even 30,000. And waterproofing companies, it's kind of like a high pressure type of sale environment, so definitely get like multiple estimates if you're ever doing a waterproofing. Over here we have the boiler. So we actually were going to do central heating and cooling, but we realized that this boiler is basically brand new. And this boiler, believe it or not, I think it was like $5,000 to purchase, plus the cost of installation. So, and boilers can last like 50 years. So we're going to keep the boiler heat. A lot of people actually like the radiator heat, think it feels better. Me personally, I can't tell the difference. It's either hot or it's cold. But we're going to keep this really nice boiler. And the AC unit here, I believe, is relatively newer. I know it's in working order, but obviously if you had to replace a boiler, like I said, it'd be about $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. If you had to replace the AC unit, you're looking at another probably about $4,000 to replace an AC unit, including the cost of installation. Next up, we have a washer and dryer. So I'm sure these washer and dryers are like the most dependable appliance, at least from my own experience. These things can run forever. So I assume that these ones still work, but we're probably just, since we're renovating the house, you might as well get a new washer dryer. So they could probably sell these on like Facebook Marketplace and get some money for those. And if you were looking to purchase a new washer dryer, especially a nicer one, you're probably starting at about $750 up to like $2,000, just for the washer, and then another $2,000 for the dryer. And that would be like much more like a very, very nice one. You could probably spend like $750 per each one, or maybe even less than that if you got like a used one or got some type of deal. And then the flooring in here, I think they're going to do some type of luxury vinyl plank, but it's only about 300 or 400 square foot of flooring. So you can actually look on a lot of these websites and it'll tell you based on the dimensions the cost of how much your flooring is going to be. And that's obviously just the cost of materials, but this is like 300 or 400 square feet. So we're probably talking a few $1,000. You know, materials is probably like $1,000 and then another $1,000 to install it and put the floor underlayment and everything like that. We are going to head back upstairs and outside to the backyard now. And this is actually my favorite part of the entire property. This is what's going to sell this house. I freaking love this backyard. And I think what we're going to do, what my partner's going to do, he's not going to do anything crazy. He's going to cut back the trees a little bit so you can kind of see the backyard. He doesn't want to cut them back too much because it actually has kind of like an oasis feel. Everyone says their backyard's an oasis. I think this one actually is kind of like an oasis. But he's basically going to leave it mostly how it is, cut back the trees a little bit. You know, if you wanted to do like a little gravel and like a little fire pit, it's really not that expensive. Including materials and installation, you're probably talking about like $1,000. That's it. Another good thing about this backyard is that it's already fenced in. So if you have a dog or kids or whatever, it's perfect. And the fence is actually in good condition. Now, if you had to replace a fence like this, there's so many ranges when it comes to fences, but you could probably easily spend $10,000 to replace this back fence here. We do have this little deck right here, which is kind of nice. And it doesn't need to be torn down or anything like that. But what my partner told me he's going to do is put some new Trex like planks on it. Trex is very expensive and basically like lasts forever, but it also looks really nice. So instead of just staining this deck, he's going to get the Trex. All in, it's probably going to be, including cost of labor and materials, probably under $2,000 because it's not a massive deck or anything like that. However, if you wanted to just completely replace this deck and do a brand new deck and maybe keep it the same size and make it Trex, you're probably talking about like $5,000 just because it's such a small deck, maybe as much as like $10,000. Now, if you wanted to do a much bigger deck, decks can get really expensive, especially if it's like a 2-story deck or like a higher up type of deck. This is basically like ground level. So you can easily spend 20 or 30K on a new deck. I actually have a friend, his parents have a $100,000 deck. The deck has like a fireplace. It's like TV, all the works. This definitely would not be $100,000. And when you're looking at these renovation properties, it's usually a good idea to have like just a little checklist of all the different things. And then you're going to make a list of everything. And then you want to add 10% to your budget because I'm sure I missed something here. There's probably going to be something that they find out once they open the walls or this and that. So every renovation project, you want to add a minimum of 10%. And if it's an older house or like a weird quirky house and it's a larger house, sometimes you want to add as much as 15 or even 20% to the budget. A good rule of thumb when you're renovating properties is that everything is going to take longer and cost more than you're expecting. And if you're looking for a real estate investing mentor, I do one-on-one mentorships with different real estate agents and real estate investors, basically nationwide. So if that's something that could interest you, if you're looking to add some of these types of properties to your deal flow every single year, definitely reach out to me on social media or in one of the links below. Take care.